Today in this video I'm going to be talking about my first impressions of the Nike ZoomX Invincible Run Flyknit. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a really special shoe to give my first impressions on, and this is something which I've been extremely excited about for the past few months. Is the Nike ZoomX Invincible Run Flyknit, part of Nike's Project Fearless, which is aiming to help runners run and keep them running injury free. So just a couple of disclaimers before we get stuck into the video are that the shoes were sent to be by Nike as part of the Nike Sport Research Lab project. It encompasses the Nike ZoomX Invincible Run along with the Nike React Infinity Run. There are a few other bits and part of the kit which I'll bring to the channel in the coming few days. The main focus of today's video is the shoe. My thoughts, my first impressions and my review of the shoes are all brought to you here on YouTube with no one else seeing what I think of the shoe. Completely honest review of what I actually think of the shoes and actually how I feel when I actually run in them. So a little bit of background about Project Fearless run by Nike is to try and serve everyday runners in their ability to keep them running and prevent injury. It's their mission to crack the injury prevention code by having a new relationship between the shoe in the rocker geometry, the foam and the stability. So let's move on to what those three parts are to the Fearless system. So in this shoe, along with the Nike React Infinity Run, you've got three systems. You've got the rocker, so you've got a nice transition from heel to toe. Next is the ample foam. This is one of the thickest shoes that Nike have produced, and it is using their most premium foam, which is Nike ZoomX. Nike ZoomX is, if you haven't used it, is an incredible piece of foam. It is used on the Vaporfly Next Percent along with the Alphafly Next Percent, Pegasus Turbo, the Tempo Next Percent, and a couple of other trainers as well. The ample foam is purely for impact protection. One of the things that you want to have as a runner is the ability to continue running and run as many miles as you can without fatigue in your legs. Yes, fatigue will occur with the training that you are doing, but the impact protection of the foam, the amount of energy return that you get back from ZoomX is pretty incredible. And moving on to the stability, the wide base of the shoe. This is a very wide shoe. You can see there, it's almost as wide as my hand. You have a wide heel and you've got a very wide forefoot. The thinking behind that is the ability to create a stable platform for your forefoot to toe off. If you can have a solid underfoot feeling, you will be able to transition into your stride mile after mile with that confidence that you are planting your foot and giving it the maximum connection with the ground through the shoe, through the foam, through the rocker geometry. Let's get stuck into the specifications of the shoe. So let's talk about some specs of the shoe. So I have a UK size 8.5. It weighs in at 287 grams per shoe, slight tad over 10 ounces, which isn't too bad. I mean, I personally don't actually feel it in this shoe. Compared to the Vomeros that I wore and tested on this channel, which you can check out up there, these felt lighter. These felt a lot more lighter underfoot, a lot more stable underfoot, a lot more easier to run in. The sizing is true to size. There is no issue in terms of the fit. I'd recommend you stick to true to size. You do have ample room in the toe box. So the stack height of the shoe is 36.6 in the heel and you've got 27.6 in the forefoot, which is a 9mm stack height. That is a lot of foam. You are quite high up as you put your foot into the shoe, and it does have that natural feeling of tipping you onto your toes. The price is going to be one which is going to be a bit of a talking point. I think this is roughly going to be priced at about £160, but this is going to be coming in a lot more premium than the Nike React Infinity Run 2. There's a reason for that. I know they're part of the same system, but it uses the premium ZoomX. ZoomX is an expensive foam, but it's Nike's most premium foam that they use, and you have got a lot of it in this particular shoe. This is more of an everyday daily shoe that you can run, but yeah, it's rumoured around the £160 price range. So let's break down the actual upper of the shoe. So let's start off with the heel. you have a very integrated and structural heel. There is no issues whatsoever in how your foot sits into this heel. You have extremely good lockdown. This little heel clip, which is on top of the foam, is exceptional at keeping your heel locked down, and it's quite sturdy. I'd say it's very structured in terms of how it sort of is constructed, and it's also integrated into the Flyknit material. In terms of the collar, you can see this is fairly padded. It's padded all the way around of the shoe, which is nice. It's got that traditional feeling to it. It feels very plush, it feels very soft on your foot, and it also hugs your foot pretty nicely. I've not found any issues on this shoe, and I've run 25 miles in this shoe to give you my first impressions. And the way the foot sits in, it's got a nice little cushion there, and it sort of sits in very nicely. So there's no problem with the shoe, and this is just added sort of plushness on the outside of the shoe, which gives it a lot of rigidity. Very good comfort levels in terms of how it sort of wraps around the back of your foot. Moving on to the midsole, I'm just going to quickly mention the Nike swoosh. This is not just a normal swoosh that's sort of just been heat pressed on. It's actually been stitched into the weave of the Flyknit. It gives it quite a lot of support along the midfoot. Not a lot, but it's definitely noticeable that it's giving it a little bit more upright structure. It doesn't slouch at all. It sort of keeps it upright. Something I noticed in terms of the weave of the Flyknit is very much, it's not atom knit, and it's not traditional Flyknit. It's just a different type of Flyknit, which is a bit more coarse, a little bit more rigid, but it does still do the same thing and wrap around your foot. So moving on to the lacing of the shoe, you get 4 eyelets here to run the laces through, and you also get 2 for the runner's knot. The laces itself are like old school traditional school laces. They're not floppy, they've got a lot of structure to them, and I haven't found that they come undone. My only criticism of the laces is that I wish they were a little bit longer, because I actually haven't done the runner's knot in the shoe. If I was to do it, I won't be left with a lot of lace after that. The fact that they stay in place with a double knot is great, but for those of you who want to try the runner's knot, you might have to sort of pull a little bit tighter on those laces, but other than that, they stay in place and they sort of work, and they sort of sit fairly well in that lacing system. They give a good lockdown, no issues with the heel, no issues with the midfoot. Moving on to the toe box, so again, part of the mission of Nike and the Fearless system is a very wide footbed. Again, that is quite wide. You do have a lot of room in the toe box area, and it gives you the opportunity to actually spread your toes. No one wants a pair of shoes where you have your feet cramped. That isn't a good pair of shoes. These shoes have the ability to actually spread your toes and actually grip and sort of position your toes as you land, step after step after step. That is really nice. That is a really nice feeling. It does give you a real sense of stability, a positioning as you land each time, and it allows you to toe off every single time. Quite a nice feature, and again, it's part of their Fearless system that they have looked at increasing that wide toe box to allow your foot to breathe. A quick mention with the Flyknit, I've actually put my phone into the front of the shoe just to give you an idea on what it actually looks like in terms of the breathability of the Flyknit. I'd say it's pretty breathable. I wear thick cushion Nike socks, and over the course of the miles that I have run, there haven't been an issue in terms of how the foot actually breathes. Yeah, you do have a lot of room in there. Again, it is a very structured bit of Flyknit. One other thing to add is the tongue of the shoe. The tongue is very padded. It's not too tall, and it also sits very nice along the foot and sort of cushions the laces really well. No pressure points, no hot spots, no irritations, which I found. It's actually stitched to the front of the lacing, and it is a traditional tongue. That is a lot of foam. You are quite high up as you put your foot into the shoe, and it does have that natural feeling of tipping you onto your toes. Very much a similar feeling when you put your first pair of Vaporflies on. Zoomx is their most efficient foam, the most energy return that they produce, and it gives you that bounce and spring and that soft feeling underfoot. The shoes are a dream to run in. I absolutely love the shoes. I have no issues whatsoever putting the shoes on for the very first time and going out and just feeling what the shoe is. I turned off all my data, I turned off every alert, and I just wanted to feel what the shoe felt like underfoot, just so I can see how my foot felt. Did it feel too hot? Was I able to spread my toes? How did the foam feel? Did it feel springy? Did it feel soft? Did it feel cushioned? Did it feel very plush in terms? So the foam is designed in a pendulum, and it gives you that ability to push off, have that fluidity as you go mid-stride, and also that impact protection as you hit the ground. So moving on to the outsole. The outsole has actually been designed by data, looked at by Nike in terms of targeting how they land and also the traction of the shoe. You can see that there's slight little pimples, little lugs on the bottom of the shoe, which are pretty good. I mean, this is a shoe which is run 25 miles and it looks pretty good. You do have a slight bit of exposed Zoomx here, which in previous shoes I would say would wear, but this one hasn't worn at all. There is not a lot of rubbing of the ground there. So in terms of the actual outsole of the shoe, you do have a lot of traction on the bottom of the shoe, and there is a lot of it. I'd say this is pretty hard wearing, and I mean it is designed for those long training runs, so I do expect it to last pretty well. And in terms of what road surfaces, I mean, I've worn it in dry conditions, I wore it on the wet conditions, and I didn't feel it was pretty slippy. I felt it was pretty honest. It gave me a good platform to run off, and it felt good in terms of the traction that I did get off the shoe. You do have that little slight pad. It almost feels like a little bit of flattened out rubber. And again, you have that there. This is just to help you land. As I do land on the outside of the shoe, it does help with that toe off. And I think those two are added little support. So very good traction. And the biggest thing is that it doesn't make a slappy sound. I will insert a clip over. It's very soft underfoot, which is nice. I mean, so moving on to the pros of the shoe. This is designed, and Nike have said that this is a easy long run training shoe. I would disagree with that and say that you could run most of your runs in this shoe. It is that impressive. I've tested it on easy runs, I've tested it on a recovery run, I've run some faster miles at it at a threshold pace, and it was great. I mean, it was fantastic in terms of how it felt. I just felt every single contact with the ground that I was confident enough that I could just strike. Yes, you don't get that propulsion back from a carbon plated shoe version like this. The amount of energy return that you get back from the Zoomx has that springiness, that cushion, that snappiness from the shoe, and that is a huge positive. Another positive of the shoe is the foam. I cannot hide what it is like to run in Zoomx. It is a fantastic bit of kit. It is an amazing amount of foam. So if you think about what energy return means, in simple terms, it is that if I put 100% force down into the ground through the shoe, Zoomx can return between 80 to 90% of that. So it is an exceptional amount of energy return, and that is going to save your legs. That's going to keep your legs honest. That's going to keep your legs feeling great. You can actually push off in the harder sessions, actually run harder in your races. Positive note number 3 is the upper and the way that the Flyknit, the heel, the midfoot and the wide toe box part of the Fearless system actually keeps your foot in place and allows you to actually have that smooth heel to toe transition. That is an exceptional bit of design from Nike's part. They are really onto a real winner with this shoe. Compared to the Nike React Infinity Run, they are very similar, but they're also very different at the same time. This, out of the two, is way more premium. What I find with the React is after you run maybe 50 to 100 miles in it, it just kind of dies. It doesn't give you anything back. So another positive about the shoe is that rocker geometry. It really does allow you to have that really smooth heel to toe transition as you go mid-stride, and then you land again. You've got that impact protection from the foam and that really nice plush cushioning. It really does allow you to do that. Obviously, the final positive is that the shoe looks great. I mean, it looks fantastic. You've got a couple of reflective points there on the shoe, along with the dipped in swoosh to the foam. It looks fantastic. I mean, 10 out of 10 from Nike for the style points. You're going to turn a lot of heads in this shoe, and obviously it comes in a lot of nice colorways, which I'll put up on the screen when it actually launches in a couple of weeks. So moving on to the cons, and it's been quite difficult for me to actually find what the negatives are of the shoe. I've tried to be completely honest, but the price point of this shoe is going to put a lot of people off. For £160 roughly to £170, that is very pricey for a daily easy run shoe. There are a lot of shoes out there which you can get for way cheaper, probably going to be a lot lighter, and for those easy recovery long run training days, they're going to be a better option. But that said, the reason why they priced it this high is because Zoomx is expensive foam. The premium amount of design and detail and technology in this shoe is the reason why they've actually put it at that price point. It is a negative. It is very pricey in terms of a shoe and a daily trainer. So to summarize the shoe, yes, Nike have said it is an easy long training run shoe, but I personally believe this is an all-rounder. I ran easy runs in it, I ran threshold runs, I ran strides, and it fared exceptionally well, better than I expected. And I haven't been this excited for a shoe launching and dropping since the Vaporfly, so that says something about this particular shoe. That note, compared to the Nike React Infinity Run, this, in my opinion, is a way better shoe. If you have the option of getting either the Infinity Run or the Zoomx Invincible, I'm going to definitely say you pick the Zoomx Invincible. So a final verdict of this shoe is that it is an exceptional shoe from Nike. The Nike ZoomX Invincible is a shoe that you will want to try. It does launch, I believe, on February the 11th for Nike members, and also general release on February the 18th. It is really nice to run it. It is really enjoyable. It feels everything I want from a maximum cushioned easy day shoe. I want to be able to run those easy miles really easy. I want to feel like they were easy and not a chore. I want to feel like I'm saving my legs for the harder sessions, which is what this shoe does. And for that note, it is a brilliant shoe and gets a massive thumbs up from me. So that brings you to the end of this video. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. We'll be dropping a video very soon about the complete kit that Nike did send me from the Nike Sport Research Lab. Do make sure you share, like and subscribe. Let everyone know about this video. It is an exciting shoe. Do share it and make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification for when I post a new video here on YouTube to you. From me and my Zoomx Invincible runs, I bid you farewell and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.